Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to learn about derivatives of exponential functions. So the derivative of any exponential function e raised to u is supposed to be e raised to u multiplied by the derivative of u multiplied by the natural log of e. Now the natural log of e is supposed to be 1. So we can look at a few examples. The derivative of exponential x is supposed to be e raised to x multiplied by x prime, or the derivative of x. So this will give us x prime is supposed to be 1. So this will give us e raised to x. Let's look at another example. The derivative of e raised to 5. What are we supposed to get? Now we're supposed to get e raised to 5 multiplied by 5 prime, or the derivative of 5, which is supposed to be 0. So the entire answer is supposed to be 0. Alright, the derivative of e raised to 2x. So this is supposed to give us e raised to 2x multiplied by the derivative of 2x. So now the derivative of 2x is supposed to be 2. So the answer is supposed to be 2e raised to 2x. So let's look at another example. The derivative of 2e raised to 3x. So what are we supposed to do? So we'll put 2 outside the bracket, and then inside the bracket we're going to have e raised to 3x multiplied by the derivative of 3x, which is 3. So this will give us 6e raised to 3x. The derivative of e raised to 5x plus 3. So this will give us, now the derivative of 5x plus 3 is supposed to be 5. So this will give us 5e raised to power 5x plus 3. Alright. The derivative of x squared e raised to 2x. So what are we supposed to do to work out such a function, the derivative of such a function? So we are supposed to use the product rule to find the derivative of this example. So the product rule is supposed to be a prime b plus a b prime. So we're supposed to identify a, which is x squared, and b, which is e raised to 2x. So a prime is going to be 2x, and b prime is supposed to be 2, as we have stated earlier. This will give us 2e raised to 2x. So now we have a prime and b prime, so we can now substitute these in the product rule formula. So a prime is 2x, b is e raised to 2x, and then plus a, which is x squared, multiplied by b prime, which is 2e raised to 2x. So this will give us, so for this case, 2x e raised to 2x is common in both cases. So we're going to put it outside the bracket, and then inside the bracket we're going to have 1 plus x. 1 plus x. So that would be the answer. So we can look at also another example. X cubed e raised to 4x. So in this case we are also going to use the product rule to find the derivative of this function. So we need to identify a. Alright, so the product rule, as we said, is a prime b, sorry, let me write this properly, a prime b plus, so this is a prime b plus a b prime. So that is the product rule. So let's use this to evaluate this. So we have a as x cubed and b as e raised to 4x. So we need to find a prime, we need to find b prime. So a prime is 3x squared, b prime is 4e raised to 4x. So let's substitute this in the product formula. So a prime is 3x squared, b is e raised to 4x, and then plus a, which is x cubed, multiplied by b prime, which is 4e raised to 4x. So in this case x squared e to 4x is common in both cases, so we're going to put it outside the bracket, and then inside the bracket we're going to have 3 plus 4x, 3 plus 4x, that way exactly. So we can also look at another example. E raised to power x all over e raised to power x minus e raised to x, negative x. So in this case, we're supposed to use the quotient formula, the quotient rule. So the quotient rule is supposed to be b a prime minus a b prime all over b squared. So we need to identify a, we need to identify b, we need to identify a prime, and we also need to identify b prime. So in this case, a prime is e raised to x, not a prime but a. B is e raised to x minus e raised to negative x, and then a prime will be e raised to x, and then b prime will be e raised to x minus, so for this other part we have, it will give us negative e raised to x. So this will give us a positive. So we then substitute this in the quotient formula. So b is e raised to x minus e raised to negative x, and then a prime is supposed to be e raised to x minus a, which is supposed to be e raised to x, multiplied by b prime, which is supposed to be e to x plus e to negative x. Oh, I forgot to indicate a negative up here, so it's supposed to be negative x, sorry for that mistake. Then all over b squared, which is e raised to x minus e raised to negative x squared. So let's work out this. So for the numerator, we are going to have e raised to 2x minus, so for this other part it will be e raised to 0. Then for this other part we're going to have negative e raised to 2x, and then negative e raised to 0, and then all over e raised to x minus e raised to negative x squared. So let's work out the numerator. So e raised to 2x is going to cancel, and then e raised to 0 is supposed to be 1. So this will give us negative 1 to give us negative 2, all over e raised to x minus e raised to negative x squared. So that will be the answer. So let's look at another example. 5 raised to x. So in this case, it's a constant raised to a variable. What are we supposed to do? So the derivative of any constant raised to a variable is supposed to be a raised to x, and then we multiply by the derivative of x, and then multiply by the natural log of a. So we can look at a few examples so that we can understand better. So the derivative of 5 raised to x will be, so this will give us 5 raised to x multiplied by the derivative of x the derivative of x, let me write this properly, the derivative of x, and then multiplied by the natural log of 5. So this will give us, so the derivative of x is supposed to be 1. So this will simply give us 5 raised to x multiplied by the natural log of 5. So if you have a calculator, you can probably work out that. So let's look at another example. The derivative of 2 raised to 3x is supposed to be, so this will give us 2 raised to 3x multiplied by 3, the derivative of 3x, and then multiplied by the natural log of 2. So this will give us, so the derivative of 3x is supposed to be 3. So this will give us 2 raised to 3x multiplied by 3, then multiplied by the natural log of 2. So if you have a calculator, you can work out that clearly so as to get the final answer. So let's also look at another example. The derivative of 2 raised to sine x. 2 raised to sine x. What are we supposed to do? So this will give us 2 raised to sine x multiplied by the derivative of sine x. The derivative of sine x, and then multiplied by the natural log of 2. So the derivative of sine x, is supposed to be cosine of x. Cosine of x, and then multiplied by the natural log of 2. So let's look at also another example. E raised to cos x. E raised to cos x. So what are we supposed to do? So this will be e raised to cos x, and then we multiply by the derivative of cos x, which is negative sine x. So the derivative of cosine of x is supposed to be negative sine x. Alright. So this will give us negative sine x, e raised to cosine of x. So that is all about